Simple tutorial. Good morning students, welcome to SST So Simple tutorial. Today we are going to discuss freedom. This is the second chapter of class 11 NCERT textbook Political Theory. Dear students, all of us are well acquainted with the word freedom. You have been reading this since class 6. In class 9, you have read various types of freedoms provided in the fundamental rights of our constitution. If you can recall, we have also read this in the lesson French Revolution, Liberty, Equality and Fraternity, the legacy of the French Revolution to the world. See, history is full of stories where people and communities were dominated and enslaved by the powerful groups. At the same time, there are stories of heroic struggles against these dominations. So, what were people fighting for? What is that thing for which people were ready to pay their lives? That is freedom. Have you ever heard of the slogan, "Freedom is my birthright and I shall have it"? Who said it? Tilak. Yes, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So, freedom in essence represents the desire of people to be in control of their own lives and to have the opportunity to express themselves freely. In this chapter, we will read about freedom in some detail. We will understand the importance of freedom. Before we start our class, let us see these two books, Long Walk to Freedom and Freedom from Fear. First, Long Walk to Freedom. This is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela, the same Nelson Mandela who had fought against apartheid in South Africa. In this book, he writes about his personal struggle against the apartheid regime. He writes about the resistance that the people had put against the policy of segregation followed by the white government. He writes about the humiliations, hardships, and police brutalities suffered by the non-whites there in South Africa. Mandela had spent 28 long years in jail. Many among you may not be even 20 years of age now. Imagine he spent 28 years in jail, sometimes solitary confinement also. He gave up the pleasures of the company of his friends and family, the fun of playing his favorite sports boxing, wearing his favorite clothes or listening to his favorite music. He gave up all of these and instead chose imprisonment. My dear students, though he was released after 28 years, but he never imagined whether he would ever be released as he was awarded life imprisonment. Mandela paid a very high personal price for freedom. Let us see the story of Aung San Suu Kyi now. You can see her on the screen. She belongs to Burma, now Myanmar. Myanmar got freedom from colonial rule in 1948 and became a democracy. Thereafter, there was a military coup in 1962 and thus democracy came to an end. Overthrowing of a government illegally is called a coup, since it was done by the military of the country, hence military coup. Then, after almost 30 years in 1990, elections were held. The party of Aung San Suu Kyi, National League for Democracy, won the elections. But the military did not recognize the election results and refused to step down. Instead, she was put under house arrest. She was separated from her children. She was not even allowed to go to England where her husband was dying of cancer. But Suu Kyi continued to campaign for democracy despite being under house arrest. Freedom from Fear is the autobiography of Suu Kyi. She says, "For me, real freedom is the freedom from fear. And unless you can live free from fear, you cannot live a dignified human life." Students, these are very deep thoughts. What she is trying to say is that we should not be afraid of the opinions of other people or of the attitude of the authority or of the reactions of the members of our community for something that we want to do or the ridicule of our peers. We often exhibit such fear. Suchi says that living a dignified life requires us to be able to overcome such fear. So, what can be seen from both these books? The power of the ideal of freedom. It was the same ideal that was at the core of our freedom struggle. It was the same ideal that was at the center of the people of Asia and Africa against their colonial powers. I hope you must have develop some understanding on the ideal of freedom. Let us now try to understand the next topic, what is freedom? Freedom means absence of constraints. Then, what is constraint? Constraints means limitations or restrictions, something that controls what you do by keeping you within particular limits. So, freedom is said to exist when external constraints are absent on a person. That means a person can be considered free if he is not subject to some external control. He is able to make independent decisions and acts in an autonomous way. Okay, now this is just one dimension of freedom. Freedom, my dear students, is also about expanding the ability of people to express themselves freely and develop their potential. This aspect of freedom is important because it allows a person to develop their creativity and capabilities. It leads to an overall high quality of life. So, what do you conclude from this discussion? First, both of these aspects of freedom are important, and then a free society is one that enables all its members to develop their potential with a minimum of social constraints. Let us now see what Mahatma Gandhi has to say on freedom. In the Indian political thought, the term that is similar or close to the meaning of freedom is Swaraj. Swaraj is made up of two words. Swa means self and Raj means rule. Normally by Swaraj we mean self-rule, but if you go a little deeper it means both the rule of the self and the rule over self. In his book Hind Swaraj, when Gandhiji writes, "It is Swaraj when we learn to rule ourselves," he means rule over self. To him, Swaraj is not just freedom, but liberation in redeeming one's self respect, self responsibility, and capacities for self realization from institutions of dehumanization. See, freedom is often associated with political liberation from external rule. But here the concept of Swaraj goes beyond simply political independence. It is about a more profound freedom within oneself, where individuals are not just free from external control, but also empowered to live authentically and responsibly. Another aspect of Swaraj is the restoration of self respect, where individuals value their own worth and take accountability for their actions rather than being passively controlled by others. By institutions of dehumanization, he refers to systems within society that might suppress individuals, deny them basic rights, deny them dignity, treat them as less human. For example, caste systems or oppressive colonial regimes. In summary, Swaraj is not just about political freedom, but about a transformation where individuals actively reclaim their self worth, take responsibility for their lives, and actively contribute to a society that fosters human dignity and self realization. So, let me stop here, students. Now, read your book properly once. In the next class, we will discuss the sources of constraints. Till then, take care. Goodbye.